heard that sound, and I heard this land, and I said, that's a Mustang. They haven't heard that sound since the war, but they recognized that sound. They came out, and almost all of them have tears in their eyes when they're talking. They touch the airplane, and they say, I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for this airplane. All my friends were killed, and the Mustang came, and it saved my life.
Huge fleets of Allied bombers, protected by umbrellas of fighter planes, continue their all-out offensive upon Nazi war plants in Europe.
So this is another one of the great reasons why we are here in a free country today.
Wing cameras synchronized with blazing guns record dramatic evidence of Nazi planes blasted from the skies. Precious planes Hitler can ill afford to lose, with invasion threatening on all sides.
You see 3 holes in the wing there. Those are the 3 barrels. So there's 6 guns on it. Those guns are in the wing. The one closest to the body, the gun is farther back, so you don't see the barrel, but it's the same exact thing. There's 6 guns firing this shell. Now, some people say that's a giant shell. Some people say, oh, it's not so big. This is a giant shell. All that's lead, and it flattens out like that. I had no idea the power of one of these 50 caliber shells until I was in Kentucky at a machine gun shootout, and they were demonstrating one single burst 50 caliber at 1,000 yards. They had a car out there, an old junk car, 1,000 yards. One shell blew the door completely off the car. Refrigerator, blew the door right off the refrigerator. And then I said, wow, it's impressive. So 6 of these firing simultaneously is a tremendous amount of power.
Cooling drag is one of the greatest problems to all airplanes. So these old big engines that were air-cooled create a tremendous amount of cooling drag, especially over 200 miles an hour. This airplane has no cooling drag at all, up to 300 plus miles an hour. And then it starts getting a little bit of cooling drag. That made this airplane not only more efficient, but it made it 25 or 30 miles an hour, which is giant. That's 10%, which is giant. Faster than any other airplane in the war. Any German airplane, any Russian airplane, any airplane. It's just faster and more efficient. So that's just one of the very many design aspects of this airplane that made it the greatest airplane in the world. This is a picture of it in the war. This airplane was flown by Gerald Montgomery, who was married to a girl named Liz, but this is actually the airplane in Debden, England, and that's the exact paint scheme on it. This was sent to me from the family. Gerald Montgomery was a fighter. Before we were in the war, he went to Canada in the Royal Air Force, trained there. That wasn't good enough for him, so then he became an Eagle Squadron member, went over to England and flew for Great Britain. When America got in the war, then he, of course, was drafted into the Army Air Corps, the predecessor to the Air Force. So then he flew for America. And it was named after his wife, Liz. His daughter was named after him. He was Gerald Montgomery. His daughter is Jerry Ann Montgomery. He was shot down and assumed killed in Korea in a jet, in a P-80. She was only 3 months old, so she never knew him. But she saw this airplane's been probably on 100 different magazine covers, and she was sitting in somebody's office and saw it on a magazine cover and said, that's my dad's airplane. Tracked me down. Coincidentally, she's from Tullahoma, Tennessee, in Texas. Coincidentally, she has a condo here in Sawgrass. So she came here and visited me. She's been to a lot of air shows with me. She's been to a lot of the fighter reunion parties, and she's just been a remarkable person to know.
The first airplane ever to be designed with a laminar flow wing. Laminar flow was a real controversial aerodynamic philosophy where the thickest part of the wing is not in the front of the wing, it's actually 2/3 of the way back. So it's got a very interesting profile of an airfoil. Today, airplanes like this corporate jet, which is brand new, you know what they're touting right now? Laminar flow wing. Yep. And this was the first airplane. I can show you that here at the tip. Yeah, it looks like a little bit of a deformed tip, but if you actually look at this tip side on, you can actually see it's a lot thinner here than it should be. The fattest part is back here. Normally in any other airplane, you'll see the fattest part is right about where this light is. So this laminar flow wing is very, very efficient airfoil, but it's a little tricky to fly, but it's very efficient airfoil. And you can see the fattest part is right here, about 2/3 of the way back. So that's a very famous, very clean, aerodynamic, very efficient wing. It wasn't until I started flying around the airshow circuit that I found that it's really not mine. It's really a piece of history that everybody in America owns, and it's brought tears to my eyes many, many times hearing stories of people. And it was then that it became, I don't want to say greed, but it became less of a personal wish to have this as it did preserving a piece of history. When you hear the people coming up to you and talking to you about how it saved their life and saved the life of so many Americans, and they all tell that story, then you see the real value of flying this thing. Then every day I think about that.